Now, the South African Federation of Trade Unions, Saftu's Secretary General Zwelinzima Vavi has been at the forefront of the battle against state capture in the country. He was instrumental in forcing the National Prosecuting Authority to investigate allegations against the controversial Gupta family. This weekend, reports emerged that the family and their businesses were paid more than 200 million rand from a Free State dairy farm project meant to empower the poor. Zwelinzima Vavi joins us now in studio to unpack these latest developments. Thanks very much for joining us and welcome to the program.
Thank you very much.
So, when did this issue, particularly of this farm in the Free State, come onto your radar? Because you quickly got involved.
Well, the whole shenanigans of this family and certain politicians have been reported upon by almost every newspaper. Amapungane have been consistently exposing the rot to the people of this country, buttressed by the public protector's report on the state of the state capture. Thereafter, there was a series of reports on the Gupta emails that expose in particular the Estina shenanigans. And then we also used, I must say, the reports that were the charges rather that were submitted to the police station by OTA and by one MP of the Democratic Alliance. All we did was to put all of these things together, and we started to work on this issue around August last year. And we've got the leadership of Saftu to agree that this is a priority for our movement, which have made a commitment that South Africa should never be the same again after the birth of the new federation in April. And I salute them tonight for taking that bold step, and I think every South African is quite appreciative that a federation of just few months is beginning to unravel one of the biggest concerns South Africa have to face. So by October, we laid the charges at the police station, but at the same time, we sent a letter to the executives of Eskom and Transnet to say to them, tell us what are you doing to recover the money that you yourself have gone to Parliament to confirm that hundreds of millions have been paid to Trillion and to the Mackenzie without them doing any work for Eskom or Transnet. And at the same time, we said, look at the issue of the 30 million we were concerned about in relation to the amount of money that found its way to the Gupta wedding from originally taxpayers created under the pretext that there's going to be empowerment of farmers and of the poor in the Free State. There's a dairy farm project. Nonsense. All of it now have proven that of the 225 million or so that was supposed to be taken into this Estina company have found its way to the Gupta-linked families, companies, individuals. Can you believe it? 10 million found its way to the pocket of Atul Gupta, even before anything was done. Straight. And if he's watching this broadcast tonight, we want to say, Atul, return that 10 million and or report yourself to the nearest police station, because you need to stand for trial for fraud, for money laundering and corruption.
So the question now becomes the asset forfeiture unit. They seem to be moving quite quickly now. Was that a push by you, or can they argue that they've been investigating for a while and that it just coincided the timing?
Our information is that the head of the NPA, Sean Abrams, was quite reluctant to do anything about the information. Look, everybody has been knowing this for quite a number of years, and at least since the publication of the Public Protector Report, State of the State Capture. And we have it on authority that he was just reluctant. He was particularly refusing to do anything about this before the conference of the ANC. But we put him on terms. We put together evidence that was so overwhelming, so strong that any court would have given us in any case the order to freeze these accounts without the assets forfeiture unit or the NPA. And when he was looking at that reality, he had to move, and he moved. So we got, or the asset forfeiture unit got that order on the eve of the ANC conference, which was on the 15th of December, and the rest is now history.
All right, give us a global picture of what you've been able to uncover, because it's not just the farm in the Free State. You've mentioned Trillion, Eskom. From what you've been able to uncover, what amounts are involved, and what kind of corrupt activities have you been able to see?
For starters, I think Mackenzie was masquerading as a governance specialist, advising Transnet and others that they can help them improve the internal governance. We know that that was just nonsense, and they creamed off a 1.1 billion rands from the taxpayers' money, from me and you, pretending to be good businessmen from somewhere in America. So we got an order. I mean, the assets forfeiture unit now have an order that that money must come back. But we now told that Mackenzie says, no, actually we have 600 more million rands we are offering to pay back above the 1.1 billion rands that we knew about from the work of the National Assembly or Parliament. So that's a massive way forward. Why we insist is that we don't want Mackenzie to run away and to escape with murder on this issue, because they seem to be wanting to do a plea bargain. We will give you 1.1 billion. In addition, we'll give you 600 million. Let's close this case, walk away, and let's move into the next chapter. No. We think that Mackenzie must pay exactly the same way that Bell Pottinger was forced to pay for corruption, for taking advantage of a developing country that is so desperate with such levels of unemployment, inequality, and poverty. And then you come to cream us off so brutally and mercilessly. We think that they must be charged for corruption and money laundering, same as Trillion. Trillion pretend to be doing some services, just invoice Eskom. And the guys on the other side just comply and pay. And the total is now 595 million. By the way, you remember, we could only go with what they have admitted in public, both Transnet. So hogs, we are told, are digging more, and the assets forfeiture unit is digging more. So we're not surprised by the news that have been confirmed by the assets forfeiture unit, that they're actually now looking for a 50 billion rands that they seek to recover from these crooks.
They could not have done this without enablers. Some have been named in the Free State saga. And I just wonder, in your various investigations, what names are likely to come up?
Let's just repeat, just for you to see the cruelty. They take 30 million rands for a wedding of a very rich family. They take another 30 million rands to pay a deposit of a private jet. This is all in the name of dairy farming. They take 19 million rands to pay for luxury vehicles. They take 100 million rands for Gupta associated companies, and they take 10 million straight into the bank account of Atul Gupta. And this was all happening under the watch of the MEC of Agriculture, Misuse, and who was being supervised by the Premier, who is currently the Secretary General of the ANC. Absolutely, that's just nonsense in my view. He has a political responsibility to explain to South Africans why should we call him a Premier or even an honorable when 200 million rands from a 225 million meant for a dairy farm finds its way to the Gupta families, and he can't turn around and tell us we, as in the Premier, and the rest of the members of the executive committee in the province knew nothing about it. That's just nonsense. We don't believe that. We think that the hawks must stop at nothing, including looking at all of the bank transactions of the Premier and all of the members of the executive. I suspect that if they do that, a proper lifestyle audit for everybody, we will see more than just this 200 million that we're talking about.
All right, Mr. Zwelinzima, we're going to have to leave it there, but thank you very much indeed for sharing your thoughts with us, this very public interest story. Thank you so much.
Thank you.